Wickham Daniel.
Good evening, folks, and welcome live. It is
Monday,
June 2011. Is that right?
Yeah, we're here.
I really
Texas.
don't know. I should know.
it is.
Yeah, I think it is. You're right. Yeah, it's to be the 19th. Yeah, the
Quick
20th.
programming note, folks. Jeff Davis Show is taking it on the road this week, going to wonderful Northeast Ohio
Good.
and West Virginia, all points in between. So I'll be reporting on how my security
Airport.
Oh, you mean you're going to fly?
Yeah, I'll be flying this Saturday.
Oh, I thought you were going to
and-
ride your bike.
But I'll be reporting on this TSA stuff. So
Okay.
whether I don't think I want. Well, they don't have the scanners at AVIA, but I might.
Yeah,
They
right.
might in Cleveland. So I'll be reporting on it. See what. But
Don't cause
so
any trouble,
So,
Jeff.
since they don't have the scanners in Austin, do they still grope you?
well,
I
I'm
would
gonna
hope.
find. I'm gonna find out. And so for that reason, we're not going to be here live next week, and then the following week is July 4th. Channel Austin Studios will be closed. On July 11th, we're scheduled to have well-known author and international shortwave personality, Mr. Tex Mars, live in the studio. You know Tex, Dessie?
I do. He's exciting.
Great guy. And so that's coming up. Till then, we've got, let me ask you, Gary, we're going to start talking about this TSA groping legislature. It's gone national. Some of the national cable networks have picked up on this. What's your take on all this?
Well, personally, I'd like to see all of that just done away with. I mean, go back to the good days when you went to the airport and you get on the plane, you go,
And you fly
Yeah.
off.
and you fly off.
Exactly.
I mean,
But what about the war on terror?
well, that needs to be done away with too. I mean, we go around all these countries creating
Terror.
yeah,
Yeah.
and what do we expect?
Yeah.
We need to mind our own business. That's what it used to be, just mind our own business. And yet, we go around and cause trouble. Well,
Occupy.
yeah, occupation.
They
We
used to
talk
call
about,
those invaders when I was young.
Yeah.
they talk about the Nazis occupying these countries. Well, what are we doing?
Yeah.
You know, we
Mass
were not
occupation.
greeted as liberators. That was kind of strange.
The reason.
Wonder why.
The reason why I brought that up was we're fixing to play. We've got some video about this TSA groping legislation here in the Texas legislature, and then we're going to have Heather Fazio. Do you all know Heather Fazio? Okay, you familiar with TAG, Texans for Account? Okay, she's with TAG. And by the way, did you know Gary Teague?
Yes.
You knew he was an actor extraordinaire.
Yes.
Okay. How many projects now? A couple hundred, Gary.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, close to 200
On a-
movies and TV.
On a lot of sets.
That just means he's a very patient man
There you go.
because you have to do a lot of sitting around, right?
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of that.
Do you knit? To
No,
occupy your time?
no.
Oh, knit.
No.
Oh,
While you're sitting in the holding area. But anyway,
I don't think men knit.
Some men knit.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
and then we got a couple of videos. One with Rick Perry, and then another one that Nate put together. And then we're gonna have Heather Fazio call in, and then we're gonna talk about Carolyn Barnes. Continue on with Carolyn Barnes because there's a lot of questions, and I'd like to ask you later on exactly what do you think is going to ultimately happen with all this.
Okay.
So with that, I guess we could go ahead and go to the TSA videos and come back with Heather Fazio calling in here.
Do you know what the videos are?
Great to meet you, Governor. Sir. Wesley Strackline, fellow Texan, 7th-generation Texan.
Who are we going to sign this to?
That's my name, Wesley Strackline.
Wesley, all right.
And I wrote up there that we're fed up with TSA tyranny, if you'd sign that. Woo! So I'm just wondering what your intent is on bringing the TSA legislation in the special session.
They're not going to have it. They don't have the votes on either side. That's what I told them. I said, bring me a multitude of votes. Or not a multitude, and they never had it.
Well, Senator Patrick wrote a letter 2 days ago indicating that there was the votes in the Senate and there's 112 co-sponsors in the House. So in view of that, would you consider bringing it up in view of that?
Not enough time left in the session.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you taking leadership with the Department of Justice threatening our state. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you, man.
Texans for Accountable Government, dressed as TSA agents, thanked Governor Rick Perry, Lieutenant Governor David Dewhurst, and several state senators for supporting invasive airport pat-downs.
Thank you, Rick Perry, for not adding House Bill 1937. The TSA enjoys sticking hands down the pants of Texas travelers. We enjoy viewing the bodies of women and children through the scanners. We know you have presidential aspirations and have touted the 10th Amendment in the past. We are confident you will do the right thing and respect the unlawful entry and intrusive actions of our agency. And we are very afraid of Representative David Simpson. Afraid of him.
David Simpson.
He's trying to stop us from groping your women and children.
If you do not comply, you will be forced to have a pat-down.
You must answer us.
We got some opt-outs. Opt-outs! 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 I don't feel no power. You're strong, little boy. Yes. Oh, yes.
I'm really not comfortable with this.
Shut up, lady. You sound like a whiny brat. This is for your own good.
The Constitution says you can't do this.
On behalf of the TSA, we would like to thank Rick Perry for not adding House Bill 1937. I'm sorry. And intrusive action against our agency.
My name is Heather.
Heather. Thank you for standing.
I am. No. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, public building. You work for us. Don't forget that.
We enjoy touching Texans. We hope you continue to stand against this terrible power-restricting bill. Thank you, the DHS and TSA. Heil Dewhurst.
Heil Dewhurst.
Thanks, man. Heil LT.
Heil LT.
And we are here to give a personal message to Senator Wittmeyer. To stick their hands down travelers' pants.
We ask that you see that
person and thank Senator Hinojosa.
Excuse me, sir. Can you see that senator gets this letter, please? We're here to exercise our First Amendment rights. There's no need to push people.
And the only person willing to stand up for the rights of Texas citizens was an Iraq war veteran waiting at a bus stop.
I have rights. I have rights. Thank you so much for standing up for me.
That's pretty cool.
Pretty
cool, folks. Okay, now, so with this going on, listen, we're going to talk to, is this Heather, Mike? Okay, it's Heather Fazio from TAG with an update on what everything that's going on here. Hello?
Hey, guys.
Hi, Heather.
How are you?
Great. We're here with Gary Johnson, Dessie Andrews, and Mr. Gary Teague.
Well, hello. Just to be on the air with you guys. Hi, Gary.
All right.
Hey, so those were some great videos, and the TSA demonstration that we did at the Capitol was so much fun. We got kicked out of a couple offices. They weren't very happy to see us, but it really got the message across of how absurd it is. We went and presented those letters to each of the offices and read it out loud. We're very grateful that you haven't added to the special session. We love being women and children, and it was great. The most hostile office by far was the governor's office, though.
Well, we couldn't tell which office was which. What happened in the governor's office?
That was where the man came right up and started blocking the camera, and then I had to lift up over his head. He wasn't very tall, so I lifted up right over his head, and he went away after I did that.
Hey,
and,
Heather, I'm gonna be flying this weekend into Cleveland, Ohio. What do you think? What will I face?
Well, you know, Austin, there are no body scanners, so
that's good.
Yeah, it is very good. Unfortunately, some people are getting randomly selected for pat-downs, or if they set off metal detector, then they'll have a pat-down. Most people do not have to go through it, which is great. I'm hoping in September when I fly, I'm not going to have to go through it. So I've got my fingers crossed. I'll be praying for you.
Well, I'll be reporting on it, whether it's nothing or something. So, in your mind and Tag's mind and Liberty people all over, would you? So this is a victory then for Central Texas, or what?
Oh, absolutely. This is a victory for Texas, and to be quite frank, this is a victory for everyone who's involved in this movement. You know, the movement has been growing, especially the last, I'd say, 3 to 5 years. I mean, I know that people have been involved. There are really things are happening, and they're happening right before our eyes. And really, we're redefining what grassroots means. And we're getting things done. And that's what this demonstrates, is that when we get active, when we start demanding that our legislators actually represent us and execute our will, it actually happens. And so it's a beautiful thing. And, you know, one of the things that TAG's all about is a single-issue coalitions and being transpartisan, transcending petty political lines and coming together on issues that we all agree with. If any of y'all were at the rally a couple weeks ago we had at the Capitol, our speakers there was quite a variety of, from radical Jack Blood to Christian conservative radio host Adam McManus. And so it really demonstrated how we can come together, even if we don't agree on everything. They seem to be pretty committed to the war on radical Islam. But, you know, we don't agree on that, but we can agree that the TSA needs to keep their hands out of our pants, whatever their pretext is. Okay. So, luckily, we put enough pressure on Rick Perry. That first video you saw was taken on Saturday morning, and the TSA demonstration was last Tuesday. So we really kicked up the pressure this week, and that video this weekend absolutely was the tipping point in this, and it really put enough pressure on Perry to actually add it to the call. So this is definitely a victory for the people. And don't get me wrong, though. We absolutely have to stay vigilant and watch everything that they're doing, because our Texas legislature isn't squeaky clean either. And I want to make sure that we are doing it right and we're not making compromises, and we are getting something solid passed that we can actually use in the future as a precedent for the state and the people, more importantly, taking back what is rightfully theirs, which is that this free country was founded on principles that are worth fighting for, and that's what's going on here. It's a beautiful thing.
Well, Heather, I'm trying to understand what has happened. Now, David Simpson introduced this bill, and the governor's called this special session, and the governor had not added this bill to the special session. Can you tell us what has happened recently? Has the governor added it?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, that's exactly exactly what happened.
That's
Did it
what
this afternoon.
Okay, well, that's I'm glad I asked that because I wasn't clear of that. So when did the governor do this?
I'm sorry, when did the governor what?
When did the governor add this to the call?
It was this afternoon.
This afternoon.
There's a timestamp. There's no timestamp, but it was about 5 o'clock.
Okay, so 5 o'clock this afternoon, the governor added the bill that would stop the TSA pat downs and allow the TSA to be prosecuted. That has been added to the call.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Boy, that's really incredible, Heather.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is great to see some fruit after everything we've done, because so many people across the state have gotten active. They've been making those phone calls and sending the emails. So many people came down to the Capitol, whether it was for a rally or for a demonstration or to go lobby the representatives at their own offices. It was really great to see everyone activate. And this is what happens, and it's really awesome. So I'm looking forward to getting this bill passed, us being able to get some more bills like this passed.
That's really great work. That's very encouraging.
So, Heather, are you pretty sure this is going to pass?
Well, Rick Perry said that if there was a consensus, he would add it. So what we brought him, that's what Wesley was talking about, is that there are 112 co-sponsors in the House, co-authors in the House, and then in the Senate, they work a little bit more hush-hush. They make sure that they have the votes before they make motions to put bills up, and so it was pretty much on the word of Senator Patrick of whether he has votes or not, and it's kind of like a gentleman's agreement. You don't say you have the votes unless you have the votes.
Right.
And so he made the announcement last Wednesday that he did have the votes, which, by the way, was the day after the demonstration that we did at the Capitol. And the very next day, he had the votes he needed in the Senate, and we made the announcement to the governor. And it took him until today to actually add it, but he added.
So what is the step-by-step procedure? Because what happens next?
Well, House Bill 41 is the bill that's authored by David Simpson in the House. And then there's Senate Bill 29 by Senator Dan Patrick in the Senate. HB 41 has already made it into and out of committee and is now already been referred to the Calendars Committee favorably. So what happens now is it's going to get on the calendar for the House now that it's allowed, now that it's authorized or brought by the governor. It's constitutional for it to be passed. See, I was learning a little bit about it, and they can go through the whole system. The bill can make it all the way through, but it doesn't constitutionally get put into law unless the governor has added it to the list of emergency legislation. Mm-hmm. So it's really kind of tricky. But what's important now is he has added it, and so it's actually worth people pushing for and us getting it through the rest of the way through the system. So it has already passed out of committee. It's in calendars. So what we can do immediately is call your representative if they're not already on the list of authors and encourage them to join the list. I'm pretty confident that this will pass quickly through the House. And then in the Senate, we have the vote technically, but I wouldn't put it past the Department of Justice or TSA to come back again, threaten us again. So we absolutely have to stay vigilant and make sure we get more votes in the Senate. So if your senator has not come out vocally or publicly about his support for this bill, we need to put pressure on them to do so, especially here in Austin. Kirk Watson has wavered back and forth on this bill, and he's been really wishy-washy on it. And so he really needs to hear from his constituents for the rest of this special session, which ends on the 30th.
Cool. Anybody else got anything, Gary?
That's great news.
Yeah.
It is great. Well, thank you for having me on, and for everyone who else is listening and watching that made the phone calls to their representatives and their senators. It's working, everyone, and let's keep it up, and let's get this bill officially passed into law, signed by the governor, and then get back to city council work so the session's going to be over.
All right.
Cool.
Congratulations, Heather.
Thanks for calling in, Heather.
Thank you, guys. Good night.
Okay. So, yeah, let's try this, see what this might be related. Welcome. You're on Worldwide.
Not today.
Okay. that's some pretty good news.
That actually is quite amazing. I'm quite surprised, and I guess the governor will sign it too.
And then we'll see what that does.
And it'll be quite an interesting confrontation.
What do you think?
No.
No?
No. I don't think that the feds will sue for it. See, the feds would have to sue. I mean, who's going to sue that they want to be groped?
Yeah. Well, so now we're going to go ahead and this is an issue that's near and dear to my heart right now because let me just say for the record, Dessie, you may know this, but this particular show, both radio, television, internet, has received 2,000 to 3,000 different reports from different people, different individuals about how they had been terrorized by the authorities in Williamson County. You may know that.
No.
You didn't know that?
No, not that many.
Well, have you seen the Search for Justice video or parts of it?
Yes.
Yeah, you're in that.
Yeah, well, yeah.
That's about 100 right there. And then there were several people when Mike and I were doing that documentary that there were people lined up to talk to us, but then there were some people that knew what we were doing that had been so terrorized by them that they were afraid to talk to us. So the point I'm making is Carolyn Barnes, whatever's going on with Carolyn Barnes, and we're going to get into that here with you, whether we're right or wrong as far as what's going on with her, I'm not wrong about Williamson County. Williamson County, quite frankly, to me, is just they're just a bunch of terrorist killers over there.
Well, they're terrorists. There's no doubt about it.
Well, we've gotten reports of people being framed, people disappearing, people being beat to death in the street, people being beat to death in the jail. I mean, it's bad.
It is really bad, and the game is it's all about money. They pick people up for nothing. They take them before a judge. They get them a court-appointed attorney. They give them deferred adjudication. Then they don't know what that means. It's not explained to them. Sometimes it's $200, sometimes it's $300, $400 a month. They have to pay for probation fees, different classes, whatnot. Then the first time they miss a class, they revoke their probation. Then they send him to one of the jails. That's a private prison system that's owned by everybody. I mean, it's a bunch of people that own a whole bunch of stuff, and like the center where they go to get their anger management, etc. I mean, all these guys are just
interwoven,
and the private prisons they get sent to.
Tow truck companies, because they tow your trucks.
Yes. Yeah, that too. But, I mean, it's just a sausage grinder, and they all profit from it.
Yeah, and it literally destroys people's lives.
Destroys people's lives.
Yeah, that's what's going on. And it's not like you said in your interview, it's not just Williamson County. It's going on in all counties all across America.
But it's especially egregious in Williamson County. I spent a whole day looking through their court cases and what happened because it's online, and I was just appalled, just absolutely appalled. Deferred adjudication, 2 years, probation revocation, jail. I mean, it's just standard.
And they keep getting money, extorting money out of people.
When they run out of money, or they miss one payment, or they miss one community service, or they don't, it's a trip on a toothpick, it's off to jail they go.
Right,
and those
back.
are all private jails, man. I mean, it's all share the wealth.
Yeah.
I'm so ignorant, Dessie. What is a deferred adjudication?
Deferred adjudication is, as near as I can tell, it's a special Texas deal, because I don't think they have it in many other states. It means that if you don't want to go to prison, you take the sentence. I'm going to give you 2 years, and I'm going to give you deferred adjudication. That means I'm not going to bring the hammer down. I'm going to give you probation, and during this probationary period, if you keep your nose clean for 2 years, and you keep all the conditions of your probation, then at the end of it, no harm, no foul. You walk away. It's over. You go free and clear. And then they always say this, and then it's not even on your record. Of course, that trust me, that one's not true, but that's what they say to them.
Well,
so it's as though it never happened to you.
So it's kind of an offer. Looks too good to be true.
Yeah.
You take it.
Well, that's one of the reasons for the war on drugs. I mean, people say that the federal government spends, hundreds of billions of dollars on the war on drugs, but these local counties and cities and states they're making billions of dollars.
Well,
because you catch somebody with a bag of pot, that he's thrown to jail. Like you say, he starts his probation, fines, a couple $100 a month for 2 years.
Yeah,
so
and
it's
feed
just
your family or go to probation in a lot of cases. And when they can't afford to pay the probation officer or they can't afford to take the classes, then off to jail we go.
These classes, I mean, they just pile them on, and
they pile them on. They have anger management. They have education. They have, I don't know what they have. I've never been through
and like
it,
you say,
if
somebody misses one, then they throw them right back into another.
This Center for Cognitive Education that John Bradley ran through up there and was responsible for having built, for which his wife sits on the board, that takes only cash and doesn't give receipts. Right on their website, it says one of their main purposes is to report when somebody doesn't show up for one of their classes, and then they're put back in the system. I mean, hello. In other words, blow the whistle, we're rats.
John Bradley's wife's involved in that?
She's on the board.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. John Bradley's the district attorney, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's try this call before we get to Carolyn, see what we got here. Welcome. You're on Worldwide.
Hey, I just wanted to tell you, Mr. Davis, that I love you and the nice lady that you have there, and Gary Teague and Mr. Johnson and everybody in your control room.
Well, I love you.
This Morris Priest, I just wanted to, hey, there's Mike Hanson. Hey, but I just wanted to tell you that, one thing I wanted to say, three quick things. One of the things about deferred adjudication is they normally offer it to people that they think they can't get a conviction, but the stakes are too high. So when someone's offered it, they accept it. And one of the things, basically when you have a criminal trial, you have the guilt phase trial, and then in a criminal trial, and then you have the adjudication. In other words, the sentencing. So for example, if you have a sentence of 2 to 20 years, they may offer you 5 years deferred adjudication. But one thing I'm not sure that you made clear, it's different than probation. If you get 5 years probation and you get revoked, you can do 5 years prison. But if you have like a second-degree felony and your sentence is 2 to 20 and you get deferred adjudication and you get 5 years probation, if you get revoked, you can do the entire 20. So it's a double-edged sword. Basically, what they're doing is they're not finding you guilty at the time that they sentence you to probation. Then at the end of your probation, they dismiss the charges if you successfully complete the probation. But if you don't successfully complete the probation, they can sentence you to the maximum.
I didn't know that. That's really interesting. So you're charged with something, and if you go along and get along, and then you end it all, then the charges are dismissed?
Yes, they're discharged. They're
I don't know.
You're basically the
and
way.
That's why it's called deferred adjudication, because you're going to defer it until such time as you mess up.
Yeah, the deferred is you have a criminal trial. You actually have 2 trials that take place in every criminal trial.
Right.
You have the guilt phase or the not guilty, because we don't find people innocent. We either find them not guilty or guilty. And so after you have the usually this is offered right before you go to trial because the prosecutor thinks he can't make the case, generally speaking. It could be because it's the first time you've been in trouble, or that you really had lived a very good life up until the time, that this first time you got involved in anything. And so there's a lot of different reasons why they offer it, but the primary reason is, I think, one thing you touched on is revenue generation.
Yeah.
And another thing, I think, is because they will do it if they think they can't be successful in prosecuting.
Well, let's face it, most of the things that people are picked up with are bogus anyway. And then you have an attorney in there just scaring the hell out of these poor people and saying, "Oh, if you..."
I don't even like her. Thanks a lot,
Yeah.
Morrissey.
Hey, I just did want to say one other thing.
Go
I
ahead.
think that even if this TSA thing goes through, it'd be just pretty much like Obamacare and many of the other things we see. It won't be something that, in other words, Obamacare has been thrown out in other states, found unconstitutional, and I think the TSA thing would be pretty much in the same, realm as that. But anyway, hey.
Well, even so, it's still an important statement by the state of
sure
Texas.
is.
Hey, I talked to some of the legislatures, and they said that the immigration issue was like 100-1 compared to TSA. I know y'all don't go along with the immigration thing, but it was probably one of the reasons why it got on the fast track. I'll see y'all later. Love you.
Take care.
Okay,
Love you too. Okay. Now, frankly, I think the whole thing's a racket.
Really?
Terry Liberty Parker coined the term with me. He told me to memorize it. Criminal justice industrial complex. Would you say that's what it pretty much
I'd say that's pretty much what it is.
Pretty much what it is.
Well, they ran all of the industry out of this country. They taxed it out, actually. I mean, it was deliberate. And then they set up the new industry, which is prison industry, and it's just a huge, huge industry. And that's their industry of choice.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to get into Carolyn Barnes, the attorney, and Leander attorney, who, there's some things I wanted to mention to you, or get from last week. When Zimmer Barnes, her son, was on the show 2 weeks ago, he stated that Carolyn Barnes had been arrested 8 times by William, and you said. He also said that, but she's never been convicted of anything.
She was convicted once when they brought in visiting judge, no oath, never been certified to sit as a judge, Bill Bender.
She was convicted of ooching her car.
No, what was it?
That's what they said on the KXAN thing, that she was stopped and she didn't cooperate enough.
Ooching her car for, yeah.
It didn't cooperate enough with the police
That's
officer.
not exactly what the tape
okay.
shows. I have all those tapes. That's not exactly what it shows, but it's a lot of it is this DPS trooper, Mike Scheffler.
Oh, well, okay, that was next. Who now? What his name is? Mike Sheffield.
Scheffler.
Mike Scheffler. Mike Scheffler. What do you know about him other than he's the one that's arrested Carolyn Barnes 8 times?
No, he's arrested her several times, but then out of her arrest, they spring other things like failure to appear or contempt of court, or that's what all that long list is for. It's very few offenses, but most of them were traffic stops, and Mike Scheffler just flat doesn't like her, and he's pretty powerful. And he butts into the Williamson County Sheriff's calls. He listens on the radio, and then when they went up to her house that night at 7:30 it was. He was just itching to go up there. He just kept calling. Do you need any more people up there? No, we're okay. Are you sure you don't need somebody else to come up? I mean, he was just dying to go up there and join him.
Okay, so Mike Scheffler. I think should be more investigation on him.
Oh, he got Trooper of the Year, or Trooper of the something, not so long ago.
Yeah, wow.
He brings it in. He delivers.
So she was convicted, but you say it was a bogus court situation?
Yeah, it was when they bring in, I call them hanging judges. When they bring in a visiting judge, first of all, they did stick the visiting judges in the Constitution, but you see, there are only so many seats in their judicial districts. Like the 261st Judicial District has a judge that runs for election that sits in that seat, and then that judge takes an oath to the 261st Judicial District. Now you got all these retired dudes that have signed up for service, and when they want something bad to happen, in most cases, I mean, Margaret Cooper is a visiting judge, and I'm always thrilled to see when she's there because she's just fair. And she's on the visiting judge roster, as is John Wizzer. I like him too. But most of them, like this Doug Shaver, he's the hanging judge, and that's what they bring him in for because they have no repercussions whatsoever. They have no liability, and most of them have no oaths. And oaths are a big thing.
And this is what Carolyn Barnes faced. This Doug Shaver.
This Doug Shaver.
Now, is he the judge who was in the traffic case or the current?
No, Bill Bender was the judge in the traffic case. Bill Bender only served one term as a judge, a district judge, and you have to serve 2 terms, and you have to be subject to Texas judicial retirement in order to be able to be appointed as a visiting judge. Well, his pal down there, B.B. Schraub, they both live in Seguin, and Seguin signed off on it, and he wrote a letter to the Supreme Court because that's who you have to say you want to be an assignment, and he lied in that letter. I mean, I have the letters, and he lied. He served 1 term. He doesn't get judicial retirement, and so he can't sit as a visiting judge.
The judge lied.
Yeah, to be able to be appointed, and so he's not qualified. Bill Bender. He's out of Seguin. He's not qualified to sit.
Okay.
So anyway, they come in, they take no oath. And even if they took an oath, do you have to take an oath to an office? What office would they take an oath to? Sorry, you can't take it to the 21st. It's already filled. We got somebody in there.
Okay, let me ask you. Let me make sure. Okay, so there's affidavit. These are affidavits, right? That when this census worker was supposedly shot at, Carolyn Barnes was with 2 other people in Smithville.
Right. She wasn't in Williamson County, but I was talking to Carolyn the other night about this whole thing, and I said, because it says in this statement that she has painter's buckets and whatnot, and I said, when you go out of your place, the neighbors on the right actually had a paint crew there because one of my friends went up there to help her, and he said that they had a paint crew, so there were paint cans and buckets over at that house. Of course, it doesn't meet the description of derelict, rundown, decrepit, like she said. But then Carolyn said, "Oh my goodness," she said, "My goodness, I just remembered that dirt road just before the railroad tracks is a dirt road that goes off to the left or off to the right if you're coming down from Carolyn's place, and that goes around." It parallels the railroad track, and it goes around. Now, on the other, I didn't even know there's a subdivision there. It came as a great shock to me. Nate, maybe you could pull up the map that I did with the statement and show the close-up of Carolyn's house, and you can see, or the railroad track after you cross the river, and you can see that dirt road. That dirt road goes around there. Guess what's on the other side? There's some people that live close to a subdivision over there in Signal Hill. They've been shooting at folks for years. It's a couple, and they think their land goes down across the river, and so they think they own the river there, and they shoot at people all the time. And it's him that shoots, but she meets exactly the description of Carolyn Barnes, about 5 foot hair, tall, dark hair. Have you got one closer up? Because we can't see there. That you see that dirt road. I mean, see that road right of the there. You passed it. Right of the railroad. There. See that dirt road?
That's a road?
Yeah, that's a dirt road. That's a dirt track. And if you go down that dirt road, you come over there around there. Those people have been shooting at people for years.
So that's the thought that's probably.
That's probable. I mean, I didn't think Miss Gattell had been shot at. I thought she made that up. But I just read 5 statements this past week of people who have been shot at by these 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What kind of people?
Well, people that live in Signal Hill. Carolyn's been shot at. Carolyn's sister's been shot at. Carolyn's kids have been shot at.
Carolyn Barnes has been shot at by this woman, this couple.
Yeah, they both seem to be there together, and they're protecting their land. And when the sheriffs are called, I look to get the incidents, and they don't have any incidents of people shooting at them. Because when they call the cops, I get the Williamson County Sheriff's Office doesn't even make out a complaint because they say, well, they're on their own property. They can shoot in the air whenever they want.
Why can't Carolyn shoot in the air?
I can't imagine because it wasn't Carolyn. And so there is shooting going on right there. And if all they had to do when Kathleen Gattell was in at
she's the census worker.
Yeah, at HEB, and she calls in this 911 call. All they had to do is when they went out and they went up and down Indian Trail and they saw there was nothing there and they couldn't figure out what in the world they were doing before Doug Scheffler called in, then all they had to do is go back and pick up Kathleen Gattell, carry her out there in one of those cars and say, now show us where this happened.
Okay, so the sequence of events are then I do this about every show, I think.
What happened? Where were you?
Well, I was
You're telling the sequence of events.
Sequence of events was. Can you tap dance to that?
What did you?
Okay, they called. Okay, so the census worker called in 911 and said
her boss called in 911.
Yeah, her boss.
She said that she had been shot at.
Shot at 5 times.
Right. Okay, and then this Mike Scheffler.
Well, no, then Williamson County Sheriff's deputies went out to investigate. All right, she called in at 6 o'clock. They went out and they were going up and down Indian Trail about 6:30 or so. All right, they can't see anything. They can't see a house. They can't see a derelict house. They can't see anything that she described.
Yeah, regarding the sequence of events, Kathleen Gattell did not say Carolyn Barnes. She actually gave another address at this point, right?
It's 33 Indian Trail.
Okay. She
said 33 Indian Trail, and her supervisor said she was sent to 33 Indian Trail, not up the mountain at 419.
She was sent to that address, and there's nothing there?
There's nothing. Yes, it makes you wonder about your tax money, doesn't it? But he said that he had the census map right there in his hand, and he was looking at it, and she was sent to 33 Indian Trail. Okay, so we have to believe it's 33 Indian Trail. But when they go out there, they can't see a house. They can't see any place that a lady would have come out of. They went with drawn guns into the doctor's house, and who was having a pool party. And when they can't really find anything, what they needed to do is go back and pick up Miss Gattell, if there was any investigation of any kind, and say, we can't find anything. Could you get in the car and come with us and show us exactly where this incident happened? Because I bet you it's down on the river. I bet she really wasn't census taken. I bet she was bird watching, but it appears to me that she actually was shot at.
But the important thing is that this Mike Scheffler is the person who introduced the idea that it must be Carolyn Barnes on the.
That's right.
At 7:12,
That's right.
At 7:12, as these cars were going out there, he said.
Which we played last week.
Yeah, 2320, 13. Are you on Indian Trail? Yes. If you go all the way down to the end of that dirt road, that's where Carolyn Barnes lives. Oh, the other guy says, that explains it. And Scheffler says, yep. And they gave up any other investigation.
Now, do you see anything significant about the initial interrogation?
The initial interrogation. Well, first of all.
Well, because I think we're going to play a few minutes of it here.
Well, first of all, when she goes into the interrogation, she has absolutely no clue. They called her on Monday, said...
Yeah, I thought that was very strange. She hasn't been told what she's charged with. She's saying, why am I here?
Right. She was charged with aggravated assault. They called her on Monday, and they said, we have an arrest warrant for you. And she said, for what? And they said, well, you'll find out when you come in. So she said, okay, I'll come in.
Strange.
I'll come in Tuesday afternoon. So she went in Tuesday afternoon, and when they booked her, her hair was down, and they say, could you please pull it back on your neck in a ponytail? I guess they gave her the band even, and to tie it up so that she would have a ponytail low on her back, because that was the description of which she doesn't
shooter.
know. Right. So then they magistrate her. They tell her she's committed aggravated assault, and it's $50,000 bond. So she comes in and she says, okay, why am I here? I'm really curious to know. What is this aggravated assault that would end up in a $50,000
Hey,
bond?
Mike, can we play about 4 minutes of that? Okay.
What did he say?
Yeah, this is now. How did you get this?
It's all in her discovery. I have all of her discovery.
You filed a Freedom of Information or something?
No, they gave her when she had an attorney. They gave all this to the attorney, and then they wanted it back. too bad, so sad.
They wanted it back.
Okay, now this is the initial interrogation of Carolyn Barnes. We're going to play about 4 minutes of it, and then we're going to come back. We're going to talk about what's next, what's down the road with this.
Yeah, scooch through so you don't have her sitting there, Nate. Yeah.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Yeah, he is.
Is he?
He came out and talked to us. I wanted to talk to you first, but he said he would be back.
Okay, so do you want to go down and see him and then come back and talk to me, or do you want to talk to me first?
I just don't want him to leave without lowering that bond, because 50 grand is a lot.
Hold on, just a second.
I don't want to keep him, because I know he's got family behind him. You've been here a long time, right? 17 years. Time flies. It does, doesn't it? That is a long time. You've seen a lot of changes here. Yes, I have.
Okay, Ms. Barnes, take care of formality right here. You have the right to remain silent, not make any statement at all. Any statement you make may be used against you at your trial. Any statement you make may be used against you as evidence in court. You have the right to have a lawyer present to advise you prior to and during any questioning. If you're unable to employ a lawyer, you have the right to have a lawyer appointed to advise you prior to and during any questioning. You have the right to terminate this interview at any time. You understand that? Okay. The reason I wanted to talk to you is get your side of the story, because I couldn't talk to you before now.
Yeah, but I just want to know what happened. I want to know what is all this about.
May 8th at your residence. You want to tell
When
me
all
about
those
that?
cops came and surrounded my house and pointed guns at me, yeah, I remember that very well.
Okay. Do you want to tell me about what you were doing before that, or what was going on that night, or why they would come out there?
Del Rye.
What about Dale Wright?
That was all Del Rye. He had been out to my property on Monday with a shotgun and some other guy with a gun. And we were trying that case all week, so we just finished up Friday and this happened on Saturday, so I know Del Rye is involved, but I don't know in what way.
Dale Wright came out to your place with a shotgun?
On Monday, yeah, right before the trial started.
Okay. And who is he with?
Some Hispanic-looking guy with a gun.
Okay. And you know Dale Wright?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So you know him by sight? You didn't?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And what happened out there?
When?
When Dale Wright came to your place on Monday?
I don't know. My son was the one that dealt with it.
Okay, so you weren't there?
No.
Okay.
No. He clearly was trespassing. He knew he wasn't supposed to be on my property. So I was at his office trying to pick up some stuff that he wasn't giving me in the case we were going to trial on.
Okay.
And he slipped out the back door with his, I guess, one of his investigators or something, and went to my house and confronted my son.
Do you know what time that was?
He was a minor. He had no business intimidating my son. My son had nothing to do with the case.
Do you know why? I mean, what time that was that you was there?
Well, we would have been after school because my son was there.
So 4, 5, 6, 7?
No, it was before 5, so probably between 4:30 and 5. I know I had come over to his office to pick up the stuff, and he was there, but then he must have gone out the back door with it so that he could go over and
So does your son know Dale Wright?
No.
Okay, so how do you know Dale Wright was at your
Because
place?
he finally admitted it in court. He
Dale
finally
Wright admitted that
and
he
that's
was
why I
at your
said
house?
I do not ever want you on my property again. You do not have my consent to be on my property.
Okay.
It's clearly marked private property, no trespassing. He abused his position with the county attorney's office to get the access code. That is very illegal to do that. And I filed a complaint on Monday with the district attorney and the Texas Rangers, the attorney general, everybody, FBI. I filed a complaint everywhere because that was very improper.
Okay.
And then for him to send out those Wilco people to intimidate me and point guns at me and stare in my house like that was totally uncalled for.
Well, what happened before the law enforcement got there Saturday night?
Just
Anybody pay you a visit, or anybody come by to see you?
No, most of the day I had been there and gone to town. The rest of the day I was either cleaning or washing clothes, typical Saturday.
Okay.
because I've been in trouble all week, so I had a lot of catching up to do, like gas.
So nobody came out Saturday evening and tried to talk to you?
The cops? Yeah,
before
they had my house surrounded, totally surrounded.
Before they got there?
They came in about...
Go ahead.
So she doesn't have a clue. See, she thinks this has to do with the trial that she went through during the week, because this Del Ride did some hanky-panky. He's no longer with the Williamson County Attorney. He either retired or was asked to retire. I don't know. But, and I have no idea if it had to do with Carolyn. But Carolyn has no idea what she's doing in here.
Yeah, I thought that was very strange. I mean, I thought there was like writ of habeas corpus. You're told what the charge is, and she's already being interrogated before she knows what the charge is.
Well, no, she was told. No, she was mandated. Magistrated.
Well, I mean, she's told what the charge is.
Yeah, aggravated assault.
But it seems to me there's a little more specificity that you're entitled to.
Well, I understand. You know, they say Jeremy Brinkman doesn't get down to what she did. You know, he just says, "Where were you?" and all this, trying to catch her, and we don't know. And of course, Carolyn is sitting there thinking, "What is this about?" And he said, "Where were you?" "Well, I was running errands. I wasn't there."
Let's try this call real quick. There you go. Mike Hansen Archives on you. Let's try this call real quick, and then I want to get to what's coming up next. Welcome. You're on Worldwide.
Hey, Jeff. How's it going tonight?
Hey, Andy Larson.
Hi.
You all know Andy Larson.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to call in and say hi to Lorraine and wish her good luck on her move to South Korea.
Lorraine did not show up tonight.
She's already packing.
She must be already. I was expecting her, but. Are you calling Are you calling from Oakville, Ontario, Canada?
From Toronto tonight.
Toronto.
Outside the studios.
Toronto.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm coming up there Saturday, Andy.
Yeah, I arranged to have the week off.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. We're talking about Williamson County, Andy.
Yeah, still a lot of corruption going on over there.
Oh, massive. Worldwide. We're on Worldwide.
Yeah.
All righty, son.
All right.
Good. I'll call you here in a little bit. Or I'll get a hold of you as we get closer to the Jeff Davis show going on the road.
All right, that sounds good. You guys take care.
Thanks for calling in, Andy.
Good work.
Okay. All right, Gary, what's your thoughts on all this first?
Well, this case looks like a legal nightmare. I mean, to me, I think the lady's being ramrodded, and I wished I had an answer to help her out of it. But I do believe that there's a lot of animosity against her, and unfortunately, it's people that are in power, law enforcement. So that it's not going to be an easy answer or easy way to undo what's been done. And I think something like this that has already been done is probably hurt her career.
Oh, well, her career is gone.
Okay, that's where we're, thank you, Gary. That's where I wanted, okay, so I'm publicly, I agree with Gary. I think she's been ramrodded and terrorized by Williamson County.
Oh, there's no question about it. But see, to stop an investigation because somebody of DPS troopers, what importance is he? I mean, how does he run that county? He feeds them in, too.
Mike Scheffler.
Yeah, he feeds these victims into this thing. I mean, I've heard from a number of people. They're absolutely terrified of this guy.
Mike Scheffler.
He's a vigilante out there
terrorizing people.
Yeah, terrorizing people.
Okay, so what do you think's next then? I mean, what's going to happen with it?
Well, we're
going to stay on it here on this show.
Well, we were able to get a commitment from a local attorney today, and so she's going to have an attorney, and that I presume the judge is going to have to acquiesce to punt the one she's got now, and nothing will happen until they release her out of the North Texas place. She told me the other day that they have observed her and they can't see. I mean, she's perfectly well versed in the law. She understands the circumstances of the charge. She understands everything about it. She just doesn't agree with the defense that's been fabricated. And she told me that the doctor just can't understand why she's there because she passes all the tests so far.
So she's going to lose. She's lost her law license?
No. They haven't come after her bar card, but there are lots of considerations for a bar card.
Well, what do you think's going to happen then? How long can she stay in there?
Well, the longest she can stay there is 120 days. However, the doctor is complaining because the McCabe is the prosecutor out of Williamson County. He has to send McCabe.
Yeah,
he has to. Now let's. He speaks highly of you, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm sure. With my son's trial, the prosecuting attorney came out, and then Mike Hansen was there. He came out with the Search for Justice VHS tape that we had played, that Mike and I had made, in his hand at his court. And the same with your son. There were a whole bunch of prosecuting attorneys and stuff in the courtroom that day.
Right. Yeah, they're all there waiting to see the show. And sometimes it doesn't turn out to be the show they wanted to see. But
so what do you... So
McCabe didn't send up the proper documents that to commit Carolyn. And so the doctor is trying to get McCabe to send up the documents with which he could be committed. So there seems to be a problem. They can get away with that in Williamson County, but there's protocol outside of Williamson County, and they have to meet their criteria.
Well, I think a lot of these people should be in jail, starting with that Mike Scheffler. I'd say he probably belongs in jail.
I'd say he probably does.
Is there any type of action on that type of front?
Well, I think if the people that he's terrorized through the years might get together and do something with DPS, I think there needs to be an investigation on that guy. He's done way too many things, and gets away with it. I mean, that kid that died on the tollway on the motorcycle, Mike Scheffler says his car went out of control and he ran him down.
30 seconds, and we will see all of y'all back on July 11th.
July 11th, we'll be back. Go ahead.
So no.
Thank you, Dessie. You're so good.
Dessie, as I understand it, so I was worried that she was going to go to this institution. They were going to fill her with drugs and so forth. It sounds like they're actually treating her reasonably well.
Well, they're treating her well, and they actually are trying to get to the bottom of the problem. If she has any neurosis or psychosis, I guess they can treat that while she's there. But no, she's not on a drug regimen.
Well, we're going to be covering it. We've got 20 seconds. Folks, July 11th, we're back here live with Tex Mars. And Dessie, we're going to be following this story, so if you're available, we're probably going to have you back. Is that all right with you?
10-4, good buddy.
I want to see. As
Mike Scheffler
I'd like
would
to
say.
see some kind of justice in all this. So that's it.
All righty.
Thank you very much. All right.